Hello everyone, welcome back, and this week it is week 16 of my Duran Duran album rankings. And of course this week we have the final Duran Duran studio album, Danse Macabre. Danse Macabre was the most recent Duran Duran album, as I'm sure many of you will know. It was released the 27th of October 2023. It was released on Simon's birthday, actually. It is a Halloween themed album and it contains 3 new songs, several covers, and also some reimagined Duran Duran classics. Now, some of you may know that the original guitarist Andy Taylor and also former guitarist Warren Cucurullo featured on this album, as did Victoria De Angelis from Maneskin and also Nile Rodgers. And Nile Rodgers was also a producer on this album, along with Joshua Blair and Mr. Hudson. I know Joshua Blair has worked on at least another Duran Duran album. I think it was Paper Gods. There may be more, I can't exactly remember. And I also know Mr. Hudson worked on Paper Gods. I also know that I believe Joshua Blair went to Ibiza with Simon so they could record some of the songs with Andy. And Andy actually played on 9 songs on this album. And he did that within the course of a few days, I think. Or it may have actually been in one day, I'm not sure. But he did it pretty quickly. Also, Duran Duran's current backing singers, Rachel O'Connor and Hannah Ross, also provide backing vocals for this album. And some of you may know, if you follow Duran Duran on social media or if you follow fan accounts, that we may be getting a deluxe version of Danse Macabre with 3 extra tracks on it, which is very exciting. I do hope that one of those is Shadows on Your Side, because as some of you may know, the album came about because Duran Duran did a horror show, a Halloween horror show in 2022, which is what my t-shirt's from. I wasn't there, I just managed to get one of these online. So basically that's where the idea of the album came from, was the songs that they played at the Halloween show. And one of the songs that they played at the Halloween show was Shadows on Your Side, and I honestly thought that would be on Danse Macabre. And I was quite shocked that it wasn't, so I'm hoping that it will be on the deluxe edition if we are to get one. But we will see. I'll be happy with whatever songs we get on there. But anyway, I will just quickly give my usual disclaimer that just because a song is at the bottom doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means it's the one that I'm least likely to listen to. And now let's get on with the ranking. So at number 13, we have Supernature, and this is a cover of the song by Chirone. I don't know if I said that properly. I looked up how to say it. I don't know if that was correct. Sorry if it isn't. I haven't listened to the original of the song, I will be honest. In fact, I am not entirely sure I have listened to many of the originals on this album. I have listened to a couple, or I've heard them. I'll try to remember to mention which. There wasn't really anything about this song that I could find. I couldn't find the reason that Duran Duran covered this song. Nile Rodgers and Andy Taylor played guitar on this song, but as I said, I couldn't find really anything about this song, so we'll leave it at number 13. And I feel like this one may be a little bit of a shock, but at number 12 we have Love Voodoo. Now, this song features Warren Cucurullo, which, you know, he was on the original, so that makes sense. It is a rework of Duran Duran's 1993 song Love Voodoo from the Wedding album. Obviously, they gave this rework a different spelling in the title, which they sort of did with all of the songs that they reworked. For example, Night Boat became one word, and then Secret October was named Secret October 31st on this album. Now, apparently the original of Love Voodoo was Duran Duran's attempt at a reggae style track that failed. I'm not entirely sure if that is true, I just found this on a forum, but I can definitely hear that. I did do a reaction a long time ago between Love Voodoo and the new Love Voodoo, and I do personally prefer the original. I feel like the new version just misses something that the old version has, and obviously the point of the songs wasn't to remake them to sound exactly like the original, so you know, I completely understand that point. But still, for me personally, I do just prefer the original, as you can probably tell because this is so low in my ranking. I just feel like the new version is rather sped up while at the same time being longer. I'm not entirely sure how to explain it. If you get it, you get it. But anyway, I couldn't really find much more about Love Voodoo, so we will leave it at number 12. At number 11, we have Psycho Killer. So this is the third single from Dance Macabre, and it is the song that features Victoria DeAngelis on bass, and it is a cover of the song by the Talking Heads. Now, Victoria was asked by John Taylor if she would like to have a bass-off on the song after they met at a party and geeked out over bassist Tina Weymouth. Now, this song does have a music video, which some of you may know. It is a AI music video. Personally, I do prefer the music video for Psycho Killer over the music video for Dance Macabre. Andy and Dom played guitar on this song. I don't really have much more to say about this song. So at number 11, we have Psycho Killer. At number 10, we have Paint It Black. Now, I'm sure many of you know that this song was originally by the Rolling Stones, and Simon decided to change the song a little bit because he felt that the original was rather like a moody teenager who was singing about how everything is awful. Simon wanted to change the lyrics a little bit because he was like, well, you know, my teenage days are way behind me. It's not really gonna work if I'm trying to do that. So Duran Duran had to get permission to change the lyrics, and obviously that was a success. Now, I have actually heard the original of this song, but I kind of didn't pay attention to the lyrics, so I haven't really noticed what lyrics were different from the original version in the Duran Duran version. Andy Taylor plays guitar on this song, and I couldn't really find much more about it. So at number 10, we have Paint It Black. Number 9, we have Bury a Friend. And this song is originally by Billie Eilish. I must say, I was really shocked that they covered this song. I found their interpretation of the song and the way that they made it their own really interesting, and it was not what I was expecting, but it really exceeded my expectations, actually. I remember being quite nervous to actually listen to it because I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I'm not really a Billie Eilish fan. I don't mind her songs, but I'm just not like a big fan. And so, you know, I wasn't like, wow, how could they cover Billie Eilish, you know? Like, I was just really shocked for some reason. But once I played the album and I listened to it, I was actually really surprised, and I was like, this is actually really great. Now, John presented the song to the band, and Simon says he found it extraordinary. I'm quite surprised that he actually has never heard it before that. Maybe he did, and you know, he just, sometimes you will hear a song and you don't really take much notice of it, and then someone will point it out to you and you suddenly really listen to it, and then it sort of sinks in. Perhaps that is what happened, or maybe he just hadn't heard of it. It doesn't really matter, does it? Now, Simon didn't think he'd be able to do anything that, as he describes, would match the brilliance of the song. But he then listened to the way that Duran Duran's version was developing, which is obviously more instrumental, and it wasn't going to be as vocal centric as Billie Eilish's version. So Simon then decided to use a different tonality that he'd discovered from a band he'd been listening to, and he then felt the band could make the song their own. And as I said, I think they did a really good job of that. It really exceeded my expectations, and I didn't really have any expectations when listening to this album. I didn't try to imagine what their covers would be like, but I was really intrigued to hear what they had done with Bury a Friend, because I was like, they're not gonna do that like the original, because this is Duran Duran and they're gonna do something different and make it their own and make it different and, you know, give it a new sort of life, which they definitely did, and I think it is a really great cover. I don't really think you could knock it, really. It is very different to the original, but that's the whole point, and I think it's really interesting. Andy and Joshua Blair play guitar on this song. I don't really have much more to say about it, so we will leave it at number 9. At number 8, we have Super Lonely Freak. This song is a stylistic merge of Duran Duran's own song Lonely in Your Nightmare and Rick James's Super Freak. Fun story about this, it's not that fun. So some of you may know that the first time they played this mashup was at the Halloween Horror Show, and I remember watching that video and being like, oh my god, I wish I could have been there to see that, because that is just great. I do actually quite like the song, and I was like really disappointed because I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to see that live, because it's clearly just something they're doing for this show. Well, when I went to see Duran Duran live, guess what they played? At that time, they were playing Last Chance on the Stairway at some shows, and then at others, they were playing Super Lonely Freak. It was like, it could be either one, and I wasn't going to be mad at either one it was, because I was just happy to be going. But when Lonely in Your Nightmare started, I lost it. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they are actually playing this at the show that I'm at, because I saw it at the Halloween show and I was like, there's no way I'll ever get to see that live, and I did. Now, Andy plays guitar on this song, and I know a lot of people aren't that keen on this song. You know, I know a lot of people don't like the mashup that they did. A lot of people just wanted Lonely in Your Nightmare on its own, and I can understand that. I do think it confuses a lot of people as to why they mixed Super Freak with Lonely in Your Nightmare, but I believe somebody said it's because, you know, the music is very similar, and I think that Lonely in Your Nightmare does transition really well into Super Freak. I can definitely understand why people aren't that happy about the song. Personally, I do think it is a better live song than an album song. I have nothing against the album version, obviously, but I do think it has a better energy when it's live. I don't really know how to explain, but I don't really have much more to say about this song. So at number 8, we have Super Lonely Freak. At number 7, we have Ghost Town. Now, Ghost Town was originally by the Specials, and Simon said on Graham Norton's radio show that he tried to brummy the song up a little bit.
You say Ghost Town and people can immediately hear the Specials in their head.
Well, I brummied it up. Oh, Ghost Town.
He just felt like the original wasn't that brummy, and he wanted to brummy it up a little bit. I definitely think he was successful in doing that. Andy once again plays guitar on this song, and I have actually heard the original of Ghost Town quite a few times, actually. I do quite like the original. It's not a song I listen to often, but it's not a song that I would skip if it came on the radio or whatnot. And, you know, as with all the covers on this album, it is very different to the original. That was just Duran Duran creating it into their own song. But again, I couldn't really find much about this song. So at number 7, we have Ghost Town. At number 6, we have Confession in the Afterlife. I, from the beginning, instantly thought, this is Arcadia. Now, I think many people thought that, like, instantly recognised the sound as being Arcadia. It turns out that was the intention, because Nick said he wanted the song to sound in the same vein as Arcadia's Missing. I gave that a listen last night. I have listened to So Red the Rose, but Missing's not a song I really play that much. After listening to it last night, I can really hear the resemblance. Like, I put Missing on and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, Confession in the Afterlife is Missing. And it was sort of like a follow-up sound to it, really. Nick also said that Simon had the title and the idea. He found his verse melody quickly and they had the song figured out within a few hours in the studio. Now, speaking of Simon, he said that the song made him think about the possibility of life after death and that nobody knows if there is any such thing. It's sort of about how if there is a type of consciousness once you're gone, then wouldn't you unburden yourself from everything that you carried through life? Because there wouldn't be, you know, you couldn't offend anybody. There wouldn't be anything so terrible to say. That's basically what he was saying the song was about. I might put it on screen actually because it was really interesting. From what I've seen, a lot of people do like this song. I think because it does have that very big Arcadia feel to it. Some people weren't impressed with the song, but I think it is beautiful. I've only listened to it a few times. I think last night when I was listening to the album, it was maybe the third or fourth time I've listened to the song, because I feel it's one of those songs that you don't really listen to very often, if that makes sense. It is a really beautifully enchanting song. For me, I think it proves that, you know, Arcadia is still alive and, you know, that there is the potential that there could be another Arcadia album, which is very unlikely because obviously, you know, the band are together now and they're really happy working together, and, you know, it might be a little bit strange for them to be like, okay, we're gonna do an Arcadia album, just Nick and Simon, maybe Roger too. But I do think the potential is there for it to happen, which would be really great. But for now, we have an Arcadia feel song on a Duran Duran album, which is still really great. And the guitar on this song was by Don Brown and Mr. Hudson. Don Brown is Duran Duran's longtime guitarist. He started playing with them once Andy left. I'm sure many of you will know that. He has featured on a few albums before, but in regards to Confession in the Afterlife, I don't have anything else to say about it. And so we will leave it at number 6. We are getting into the top 5 now. And at number 5, we have the album's title track, Dance Macabre. This was the first single from the album, and it was released on August 30th, 2023. I remember it being released and I was really excited because it was my first time being there for a new Duran Duran release. I became a fan officially in late 2021. It was just after Future Past, so I missed out on the release of that album, but I was, you know, witnessing everything leading up to Dance Macabre. And so I remember the song coming out at midnight and me listening to it straight away, and, you know, I was kind of like, as I said earlier on in the video, I wasn't really like attaching any expectations to this album. I wasn't sure what to expect, but, you know, I instantly liked Dance Macabre actually. I know some people don't, because they think it's, you know, it's a bit, I don't know, I think they think it's a bit too funky and unserious, but that's the whole idea. And it kind of reminds me of like songs from Halloween albums I had as a kid, you know, like the fun Halloween songs. I think people were expecting like dark music when Duran Duran announced a Halloween themed album, but I also think Halloween is about, you know, also having like fun, sort of unserious songs. And I do think it's just playful, you know, it has that sort of like playful melody to it. Some people say that Simon raps in the song. I think really he's more just speaking the words rhythmically, or is that actually what rapping is? I don't know, I'm not Eminem. And so a lot of people didn't like that he was rapping the verses, but I think that's what made the song what it is. Like I said, it was just, you know, it was just supposed to be a fun Halloween song, and I like that. I think it's different to what Duran Duran have made, but as I've said in many of my videos, Duran Duran are always making new things and coming up with new ideas and are always like the first to do things. But anyway, let's get into what the track is about. Warren Cucurullo also plays guitar on this song, and John said that the new songs were written during a 4-day window before their last British tour. They went to write one song. They had the title Dance Macabre, and they wanted to see if they could write a song with that as the title, and they ended up with 3 new songs as a result. So by the sounds of it, Dance Macabre, Black Moonlight and Confession in the Afterlife were all written sort of at the same time. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, there is a music video for this song. Again, the music video for this song is AI generated. I remember watching the premiere of the video. I don't know if anybody else did, but I did. And, you know, as I was speaking about, like, you know, being a fan and being there for, like, all these releases and things, that was really, like, it sounds a bit silly, but, you know, that was exciting because it was, like, first time being there for a new music video by the band. But I don't really have much more to say about this song, so we will leave it at number 5. Number 4, we have Night Boat, which is a rework of their 1981 track from their debut album. Andy plays guitar on this song as well. Now, last year they used this song as the first song in live shows, so, you know, once they had the intro and they come out on stage, this is the first song they played. I'm not sure if they still do that, because I know for the past few shows that they have done in America, they started out with the chauffeur, but then they took the chauffeur out of the set list, and I'm not sure if they went back to Night Boat or just, you know, went straight into the Wild Boys. I remember someone saying that the chauffeur was gone from the set list, but I don't remember if it had gone back to Night Boat or if it was just straight to Wild Boys. Now, I actually got to see Night Boat live. Honestly, the feeling of seeing that live is just amazing. The atmosphere of the song when it's live, it is brilliant. I think as well it was more because, you know, it was like my first time seeing Duran Duran on the stage and like performing, and it, you know, it was that moment where it actually sunk in, like, oh my god, this is real. I think seeing them in person for the first time, it's just an amazing experience, and I don't know if I will ever see Duran Duran in concert again. I really hope that I will, but, you know, if not, I will always remember that night. And even if I do see them many more times, the first time seeing them in concert will always, you know, have a special place, because it's just, you know, it's just amazing, and I don't think anything can beat that feeling of seeing them come out onto the stage and then watching them play. It's just amazing. You don't want it to be over, and then it's over, and then you have to leave, and it's just like, you know, you're trying to come back to reality. At least that's what it was like for me. I don't know if I'm just being dramatic. You know, it was just like, if I couldn't be any more of a fan, somehow that night made me even more of a fan. But anyway, there's not really much to say about Night Boat. However, I do actually like, I think it's on one of the last choruses, where Simon sort of goes higher on one of the O's in Night Boat. So like, Night Boat, you know, You'll know what I mean. It's sort of like that woo he does in the original. And I really like that because, you know, he didn't do it throughout the rest of the song in Night Boat. And so I was like, oh, you know, fair enough, he probably can't reach that now the way he used to when he was younger. And then he did it at the end, and I really liked that it was like a little, you know, sort of tribute to the original. I don't know which I prefer out of the two Night Boats. I do think the original has that more spooky vibe. Personally, I mean, I feel really horrible for saying this because this is supposed to be a Halloween album. I think if I was picking one of the two to put on a Halloween playlist, I probably would go with the original. I do think the Danse Macabre version is great. I couldn't really pick between either of them because I think they're both different in their own ways, and I do like both versions for different reasons. But anyway, I don't have much more to say about the song. So at number 4, we have Night Boat. At number 3, we have Spellbound, which was originally by Susie and the Banshees, and Andy plays guitar on this version. I could not find anything about Spellbound. I have listened to the original once, I think. You know, I suppose you can't really compare them to each other. I know people were saying the Duran Duran version lacked the energy that the Susie and the Banshees version had. I wasn't really sure what they meant by that after listening to the original, because I don't think the Duran Duran version lacked energy. I think maybe it had a different kind of energy to the original, but I think to say it lacked energy was quite incorrect. I couldn't find anything about the cover of this song, so at number 3 we have Spellbound. At number 2 we have Secret October 31st, which is a rework of Duran Duran's 1983 track Secret October, which is a B-side to Union of the Snake. Andy once again played guitar on this track. I remember hearing a snippet of it. I don't know if anybody knows, but about 3 days before the album came out, Duran Duran did a Danse Macabre listening party in several record shops around the US. I think it was a ticketed event, like people bought tickets and then they went to the record shop and the album was being played early. I remember someone posting a video of like the merch that you got for attending, and in the background you could hear Secret October 31st, and I was just sat on my bed in awe, like, oh my god, I cannot wait to hear this. I think the original of Secret October is a fantastic song, and Simon has said the original was one of his favourite songs that he has written. I believe it is sort of about like his birthday. It was, you know, written about his birthday or his birthday month, something like that. I can't exactly remember, but I think the original is amazing. I think the rework is amazing. Secret October is probably another song that I could talk about for a long time. Like Night Boat, I don't think I could really pick between the two. I would say I like the original just that little bit more. I think in the rework in Secret October 31st, I do think it is a little bit backing vocal heavy, and that's not a bad thing. That's, you know, I'm not like dissing the song because of that, but I do think that now backing vocals, I believe, are supposed to be like under the main vocals, but I feel like in the choruses of Secret October they're sort of on the same level, and you can hear the backing vocals almost equally to the main vocals. At least I can. Maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky, I'm not sure. There's nothing wrong with that. I do just prefer the original a little bit more. I do think both versions are really beautiful songs. And hearing Secret October 31st for the first time when the album came out, it was amazing because, like I said, I'd heard the snippet and I just couldn't wait to hear the song in full. And when I did, It was just really enchanting. I think the rework of the song has a very mystical feel to it. And maybe this is just me, but I would kind of describe the song as a bit like a music box, sort of, you know, like I call it the twinkling noise at the beginning. It sort of reminds me of a music box. And maybe that was the idea. I'm not entirely sure. I couldn't find anything that suggested that, but who knows? And also at the end as well, because the sound is also at the end as well as the beginning. I just think both versions of the songs are really beautiful. But that is all I have to say about Secret October 31st. So we will leave it at number 2. And finally, at number 1, my favourite song from Dance Macabre is Black Moonlight. Black Moonlight is the second single from Dance Macabre, and it was released on September 21st, 2023. At first, I wasn't sure if I liked Black Moonlight. I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't sure I liked it that much. At the time Black Moonlight came out, I actually preferred Dance Macabre. Even after I'd listened to Black Moonlight a few times, I still preferred Dance Macabre. And then obviously that sort of started to change, and clearly Black Moonlight has become my favourite song from Dance Macabre. I think it's really catchy, it's really funky, it's really disco. I do remember some people saying it was a very chic feel song. I didn't actually write down who played guitar in this song. I wonder if it tells you in here somewhere. This album is like so hard to get into. You have to unfold it one way, then another way, and then another way, and then another way. Nile Rodgers and Andy Taylor played guitar on this song. It definitely does have that chic feel to it. And Nick said that he prefers the moon to the sun, and Simon took the idea of the song and ran with it. Some of you may know a music video was released for this song on November 29th, 2023, and it shows the band having a seance in an old house surrounded by apparitions. And the video also shows a ghostly woman wandering around the halls of the house that she once lived in. I remember the music video was once again on a premiere, and I think they announced it like a week early, so you knew a music video was coming, but you had to wait a week to find out what it was. You could see that there was going to be a video, but you obviously had no clue what was going to happen, and it was like really suspenseful. And I just remember being so excited because this was like a proper music video. Like, it wasn't AI, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't generated or anything like that. This was the band in an actual music video, and it was like my first time seeing a new music video of the band. I was so excited leading up to the week that it came out. It was great. I instantly liked it, you know. I think it's a really great music video. I would probably put it in my top 5 Duran Duran music videos, if I'm being honest. I know that some people were a little bit like, a bit iffy about, like, you know, the whole seance thing and everything, and I completely understand that, but, you know, I think it's important to remember that they didn't actually do that in the video. They were just portraying that. You know, I can definitely understand, like, you know, being against, you know, trying to contact the dead. It's not something that I really agree with myself. You know, if that's what you want to do, that's, you know, that is fine, but personally I don't agree with it. But, you know, the music video was just that. It was a music video. They weren't actually, you know, they weren't contacting anybody from beyond the grave, and so I think that's important to remember. Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting video, and I think it was inspired by the album cover probably, and the photos within the album, which, if I recall correctly, they are original photos from the last seance in the UK, which was in the 1940s, I believe. Nick won this like roll of film with those photos on at an auction. He had the idea to have the band members each put on a one of those pictures from the auction, from the seance. I thought that was a pretty interesting concept. Also kind of a bit of a funny one. I mean, that's quite cruel. But, you know, I just found it like a little bit funny that their heads are stuck on somebody else's body. Once you know, you realise, you can't unrealise, you know. I think it was actually Nick's photo. No, it was John's photo in the album that I looked at and I was like, these are fake, aren't they? Now, can I just say something? Now, when I saw this photo, the first thing that came to mind was the lyrics from New Religion, which were sitting down electric chair. I don't know why, because that is not an electric chair, but it just came to my mind. I was like, sometimes people stare sitting down electric chair, and it's like, that is not an electric chair, but understand the vision with me, okay? But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Black Moonlight. And so, my favourite song from Danse Macabre is Black Moonlight. So, I think that concludes my ranking of Danse Macabre. And you know, I can understand why some people weren't totally into the idea of the album, because the vinyl record has when you open it up, because it's a gatefold, it is like a Ouija board, and you know, in the CD it talks about what a seance is. I can definitely understand why some people don't agree with the album on those things, because you know, it is a bit of a topic, like, you know, some people are fine with that stuff, and you know, some people do think it's kind of disrespectful. Personally, it's not something I would get involved with, and I don't exactly agree with trying to contact the dead through, you know, such things. But you know, it's just an album, and it's the concept of the album, really. It was supposed to be spooky and Halloween themed. I know a lot of people were like kind of thinking of, you know, not being fans anymore because of the concept of the album. If you remove the occult sort of things from it, it's just an album is what it is, and it's a good one. It is definitely an album I could listen to the whole way through, no skips. I mean, pretty much most Duran Duran albums are like that for me, but I feel like sometimes you'll just have a song where you might, you know, sometimes you can listen to it and then other times you just skip. But I don't really think there's any songs on Danse Macabre that I would skip. And yeah, like I mentioned before, I said that, you know, this was like the first release that I was like part of, like being a fan for, and it was really exciting. I remember, you know, the day it came out, which was also Simon's birthday, going out and buying albums. You know, it was like a whole adventure for me, really. I went to one store and they had the CD and they had the black edition of the vinyl, and I also wanted the smog coloured vinyl, so we went to another store and thankfully they had that copy in there. Like, I just remember, as cringe as this probably sounds, I was so proud to be a fan that day. Like, I was so excited. I was really fangirling that day. I also got this is so exciting, isn't it? Not really. On the same day that I bought the albums, I also got the Wild Boys Funko Pops. I love the Wild Boys. I don't think I've ever really mentioned that because it's not on an album, so I've never had an opportunity to mention it, but I love the Wild Boys. It was instantly one of my favourite Duran Duran music videos, and there's just something about the Wild Boys that I love. And so when they released the pop vinyls, I was like, I have to have them. And when I went to buy the Danse Macabre albums, I finally got the Wild Boys Funko Pops. But it didn't stop there, because then that night of the release of Danse Macabre, Duran Duran were also performing on the Graham Norton show, and then at the end there was a little interview with Simon and Nick, so I remember watching that, and yeah, it was basically a big celebration. And you know, I wasn't just celebrating the release of the album, I also kept in mind that it was Simon's birthday, sort of like celebrating his birthday in a way with the album, which might sound a little bit stupid, like you're celebrating the birthday of somebody that you don't really know. Yes, I was. It was just an all-round great day. I remember getting my albums and feeling so proud to be a fan. But anyway, that is my ranking of Danse Macabre. Once again, terrific album. I remember people instantly hating on the album when they found out there were going to be covers on there. And I just found that a little bit hypocritical, because people were hyping up the covers that they did at the Halloween horror show. But then as soon as they found out they're going to be doing covers on an album, it was suddenly, oh, they shouldn't do that. Did they not remember what happened with Thank You? Which, P.S., I do think is a good album. Unpopular, I know, but that's what I think. I remember when they posted a little teaser of Danse Macabre, the song, and people instantly were like judging it and like, this is going to be terrible. And they soon changed their tune when the full song came out. Anyone who didn't like the song because they judged it on a 30-second clip, to then turn around and, you know, have made all these comments about how bad the album's going to be, to then turn around and say, Danse Macabre is a brilliant album. You are a fake fan. Okay, that's a little bit mean, but, you know, it's just a little bit hypocritical to, you know, slate an album, judge it before you have even heard it, before you even know what's on there, and then, you know, change your mind when it comes out. Like, you know, don't be so quick to judge, because it comes back to bite you, doesn't it? But anyway, that is it for the album rankings. Oh my gosh, usually I say like what next week's ranking is going to be, but there is not another album to rank. Can't get my head around that. I can't believe this is the last studio album to rank. I have got an album that I may be ranking. I will be ranking. You may be able to guess what it is. There was kind of a clue in this video, and I'm sure it might be easy to figure out, because it is very much Duran Duran related, and I think it's an album that many people like. I'm not going to say what it is. If you guess and you get it right, that is fine. I want it to be a little bit of a surprise. So you will find out next week what the mystery album I will be ranking is. I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who has watched my ranking videos. And as I've said before, I enjoy reading your rankings in the comments. I think it's really interesting to see other people's interpretations of the albums. But yeah, until next week when I rank the mysterious album, bye.